Magistrates Court on October 18. A truck driver's been injured after a semi-trailer rolled on the Kennedy Highway at Mondekwa on Monday night. It's understood the truck failed to take a turn near Longlands Gap Road and passers-by helped free the 72-year-old driver. A 21-year-old Atherton man's been fined after allegedly being clocked at more than 40 kilometres over the speed limit. The police man was travelling at 150 in a 100 zone while heading towards Mareeba on the Kennedy Highway at Walkerman earlier this month.
Who told media as the team trained on Tuesday that it will be a battle of big men against big men.
Big men versus big men. France playing a really, really good style of rugby at the moment in terms of how big they use their huge men to get over their advantage line, and that's something we're trying to do as well in terms of our Fijian flair, create one-on-ones, but the only way you can get one-on-ones is by winning the first breakdown collision. So that's where it's run. Set piece is obviously all passive, but it's going to be a huge battle at the breakdown.
That's News and Sports from Manzes Pacific. There's more on our website, rnzi.com.
那可能和这个冰面的因素有关，因为毕竟我们推导这2天环境方面有持续的小幅的走弱虽然每次幅度不大，但是也是持续的走弱这个对于北上资金当然有影响，否则它即便
有各方面。
那其实你跟他在相处过程当中有没有差异？
就习惯上也会有，
比如说
好客这方面跟我们做的不一样。我们人家来了可能是会问会打招呼可我有的时候像我老公他可能就没有。
当遇到这种类似你刚才提的当2个人有些习惯上的不同、观念上的不同的时候，你们应该怎么处理
أنا لديكم أي أسئلة بخصوص هذا الموضوع؟ أعمال 17 واحد يقول فدخل بولس إليهم حسب عادته وكان يحاجهم 3 ثبوت من الكتب. بشر بولس عن المسيح. كان يوم السبت. الشيء
突然双击规模，稳居全球首位。这一领域也成为中国与国际合作伙伴，特别是发展中国家开展务实合作的重要方向。多年来，非洲国家赞比亚高度依赖水力发电，但近年来连续出现的旱情使该国水力发电效率受到严重影响。今年2月，由中国企业承建的赞比亚光伏电站扩建项目正式并网发电。在该光伏电站原有1兆瓦产能基础上，扩建33兆瓦装。
On se dirait ce matin, avec vous, notre Caroline, il faut s'en donner. Très bonne journée. RFI Matin, 3e et dernière heure, dans moins de 20 minutes. Le journal Afrique avec Namouri Dosso et l'actualité du continent. Également dans votre revue de presse, Léa Moutin-Rivière,
or being outside of the Department of Justice, because as we know as peace activists, that it's war, lies that take us to war, and it is only the truth that can bring us peace. And so there is a truth teller, Julian Assange, that has been, because of the United States, in jail, basically, for the last 10 years and for the last 4 years. He's been in solitary confinement in Belmarsh Prison outside of London. And it was his birthday on July 3rd. And so for his birthday present, Ben Cohen and I did a protest at the Department of Justice. And Ben lit an image of the First Amendment, which is about the freedom of speech, on fire. And then I popped a pink flare that's non-toxic. So it was like we could have the look of lighting it on fire without actually violating the laws of D.C. And so we weren't violating the laws of D.C., but we sat down in front of the entrance to the Department of Justice and we got arrested for the same thing that people who just, literally destroyed the walls of Congress and windows of Congress and infiltrated Congress. On January 6th, we got the same thing, unlawful entry, as they got. So, I mean, a little crazy. But we were arrested and for trying to raise up that there's all these lies and all this propaganda that's driving us to war. And
秉持生态文明理念，站在为子孙后代负责的高度，共同构建地球生命共同体，共同建设清洁美丽的世界。
长江流域作为生态环保工作的重中之重，近年来在各方努力下，suivi la prescription du créateur.
Donc ça génère
Ça génère une certaine peur.
Qui sont la peur.
Et ce qui est intéressant, c'est la réaction vers ce Dieu créateur.
Oui.
C'est qu'il veut créer le lien. L'enfant, souvent, quand il a fait une bêtise, ou l'adulte, ou l'ado, sont dans la... Ou même les adultes, bien sûr, quand on fait des bêtises, plus ou moins grosses, la réaction est de fuir, de se cacher. Et c'est exactement ce qui se passe ici. Et l'adulte, enfin la personne ici référente, vient et recrée le lien. Où es-tu? Et puis ensuite, il lui dit, pourquoi est-ce que tu as peur? Pourquoi te cachais-tu? Puisque l'homme se justifie. Et qui t'a dit que tu étais nu? Voilà. Et donc là, il y a des mains tendues de la part de l'adulte référent qui nous...
Too much predictability about sort of going through a game where there's jeopardy and you survive the jeopardy and you go on to the next jeopardy and you come through that one too.
Have you watched any movies lately? I mean, yeah, I'm with you, but I don't think that's completely different, confined to gaming. And I also think if one seeks out the very independent, artier games that are available, people can be creating them in their own households and then uploading them, to formats like Steam and so on. So there's also this really exciting creativity straight from creator to gamer, which I find really exciting. But look, don't get me wrong, the big, what they call AAA games, the ones that you kind of think of, do have a kind of slightly banal insistence on a kind of particular kind of violence and a particular kind of obstacle overcoming. But you would say that about Hollywood as well.
Indeed, and I'm sure you saw the success of The Last of Us.
Oh, I loved The Last of Us.
Was a hugely successful game and became a hugely successul TV streaming storyline.
Yeah.
There's money in this. I mean, I think in 2020, I looked at the figures, $160 billion generated by the gaming industry compared with $41 billion in movies.
Absolutely.
Be honest with me. Is that part of the attraction for a talented writer like you?
Well,
is that where you're heading?
I actually have thought recently about returning to working in gaming, but mostly honestly because it's so formally interesting to me. It doesn't feel to me like it's reached anywhere near the limits of its creative ability and capacity because it's such a young art form compared to television or screen. So that is honestly why I'm so fascinated by it. But yeah, of course, if they pay well, that is not the case for some other areas of our industry. And of course, that features one has to live. But yeah, I love The Last of Us. I think the game is a work of art that's really extraordinary.
Let me ask you about some of the hurdles you've had to overcome in your career. I know that you've had to deal with sexism because you've written about it, and misogyny.
根植于黄河流域的手工艺技术与丝绸之路带来的西域文化结合的典型代表。在这名老师造型本身就代表和美。
Say
don't know anything about. But, yeah. So, sounds like everyone's had a good day, which is really great. And Ross is sort of feeling a hell of a lot better now too. So he's coming off these steroids and that. And, first got out of, through that winding stretch between Atherton and Ravenscourt. Scared him a bit on the way down, on the way through, on the way north. But, look out the side there, but just off straight away and it doesn't scare anyone. So, Okay, anyone else who's to call in for the afternoon travellers net, VK4MIK? Okay there, Roger. Okay, over to you there, Bert. And I think you said you were at Minnemuka cattle property. VK6HCY44 in the group, VK4MIK.
One of the first period tracking apps, and the woman responsible for coining the phrase femtech, Edith. It's possible you've heard of the app Clue. It's been downloaded over 100 million times in 190 countries across the world. If not, then let me bring you up to speed. Clue was launched shortly after the first iPhone, and it was women to track their periods. But there's 30 different categories. Just last year, it was approved as an official form of contraception by the Food and Drug Administration in the US. To date, it's raised almost $50 million in funding. So it has this very big sense of a global need. And then along the way, we figured, why don't we start building a period tracking app so that we can start understanding the cycle and start understanding the market and build a user base. I wanted to create something that could be the next thing that came in the history of family planning after the pill, basically. The reaction to the idea was mixed. What I met was a sense of, oh, we don't know anything about this world of women's health, or kind of curious. And then, of course, women I met, they all had a story. Everybody has had something going on with their reproductive health system. That's Business Daily from the BBC. Ida was born and raised in Copenhagen, and prior to co-founding the app Clue, she ran a motorcycle company with her parents. It was then that she noticed a problem that she wanted to fix. So this was back just when the first iPhone came out, and I thought, what if we could
take out our phones and it could tell us if this was a day we could get pregnant. That would be so helpful. Then I would know which days to use a condom and which...
最好不要超过10个。蔡弘毅种植番荔枝已有15多年头，在卑南乡有7公顷果园。2021年，大陆方面因多次检出有害生物而暂停台湾地区番荔枝输入后，他和农友们的生计大受影响，只能靠仅有的一点岛内市场。
You can unpack what they've done. I kind of like the Malone story. It went across every media. Why? Because they didn't want Blinken to go to China. And so they made up a story. That balloon, we know, had been in the United States for a year. It had flown over Hawaii. People in Hawaii were worried about it. And it was flying over the military base in Hawaii. And the military said, no problem, it's a weather balloon. Then it gets up to Montana. And the timing, it's like they're looking for a way to hate on China that they know is a lie. They know it's a lie. They've already said it's a weather balloon. And China's already told them a year ago that it was a weather balloon. And the fact that they think, this is the part that's really scary. The fact that they think...
负担果品品质提升费用的问题，县政府也拿出预算对他们购买设备、改造厂区等进行补助，尽量解决大家的实际困难，确保番荔枝能够在接下来的时间里稳定持续的输入大陆。
按照新的一个作业流程，才能确保虫害降低。这2年，因为在果品上有瑕疵，暂时停止出口的关系，对农民来说是很大的打击跟冲击。那在这样的一个状况下，提高品质是必要的一个路。对于我们栃木の文系見内付属6対3で破ったゲームをここまでお伝えしてきました。では続いて第2の試合、千葉の天台松戸対茨城の土浦日大の対戦ということになっています。解説広岡康成さん、実況伊藤啓太アナウンサーでお伝えします。試合開始4時50分の予定です。ここまでの実況担当清水孝明でした。ではニュースをお伝えします。
ではお伝えします。気象庁によりますと、台風7号は午後3時には能登半島の北の海上を1時間に30キロの速さで北北東へ進んでいます。台風に向かって湿った空気が流れ込み続けているため、東海では発達した雨雲がかかり、レーダーによる解析で岐阜県の関市中野湖付近と関市麦川付近、それに岐阜市岐阜付近で午後3時過ぎまでの1時間にいずれもおよそ100ミリの猛烈な雨が降ったとみられ、気象庁は
大家早先我係阿總哥，呢時間應該係捱哀狀下，跟住考慮我哋進入非遺同快世界節目環節。
大家好，今天呢，我們請大家非遺歌，也好了唐故事和童謠哦。唱上通童謠，開心唐故事。
小朋友，反正嘅非遺會，我哋一齊來談非遺會開書袋。
中间的这个波动，其实对于这个是不是很好的时机，这个 timing 的选择，我觉得结合2方面去看。第一个呢，就是我们可能确实要做好那个较长的投资周期的这个准备。但是呢，结合在现在的这个市场环境下，一个是国内经济的这个增速换挡，然后由新科技产业。
Here, this is not a good start.
Yeah, but what's happening?
Go on. It's boxing. It's pretty murky. I heard that the production manager of the company we were using was having a little thing with someone in the tour camp. I heard that later, of course, and I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
But fortunately, an old mate of mine, tour pilot Evan Charlton, was over there filming a doco for Australian TV, which said he never got through and he never got paid because that's boxing. And he ended up doing all the editing for me, all the cutting, and sort of being my bodyguard as well.
Gosh, what was the vibe over there?
It was pretty good, but after the fight itself, it was pretty intense. The press conference was pretty intense.
Okay, before we get there, describe the two men. So we mentioned Tua's height, and Lennox Lewis had not just a height advantage, but when you're that much taller, you also have a reach advantage.
Sure, comes with it, yeah.
And this is not...
That's Tim Aoyemi, a retired UK police officer who grew up in Nigeria
and was taught the history of the Benin bronzes. Back in 1897, the ancient city was one of the wealthiest kingdoms in West Africa, and the British were desperate for control. Their chance arrived after a group of British officials were killed on the way to see Benin's king, known as the Oba.
A month later, in February 1897, 1,200 British soldiers arrived in response. The city walls didn't stop the British punitive expedition, and the city...
Seems like deranged individuals in the United States are looking at what's going on in the media, and they're taking out their own personal anxieties on Asian-looking people in the United States. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how regular American people can support the AAPI community in the United States, because they're the ones right now who are on the front lines of this conflict.
Yeah, it's like, don't be used by the hate, because when you're used by the hate, then that's going to affect Asian Americans first. And go learn. Don't be part of it.
却被蔡英文所牢牢地把持，而赖清德和蔡英文之间的矛盾由来已久，在咱们以前的节目当中也进行过多次的讨论。例如说，这次赖清德赴美去进行所谓的窜访，那蔡英文是指派了自己的一个心腹，也就是黄忠彦去参加了这样一个团队。那表面上是要去陪同赖清德，但实质上就是要去监视和监控赖清德，确保赖清德的一言一行都要被蔡英文所知晓、所了解，不能够去跳出蔡英文的这样一个手心。那么这很显然也会加剧蔡英文和赖清德之間的矛盾，而且在未来選舉的時候，蔡英文對於賴清德是。
少ない投球数ですが、小森投手どうでしょうか。ストレートがね、そこそこボールをつけると思うんですけども、多少ね甘くなったところを反対仙台松本打者がですね逃してないと、そういったところだと思いますね。はい。打たれたボールはストレートですね。2本とも。そうですね。ワンボールから投球、これから2球目、1回にまで白の仙台松戸の攻撃、チャンスを迎えています。もう1回一塁牽制球を送ります。ランナー手から戻っています。初回ですけど、二遊間の守りは少し中間守備でも浅い感じですよね。やや前ですね。そうですね。はい。ワンボールから投球2球目、セットモーション183センチ、第1球を投げた、バントした。バント構えから引いてストライク。一ランナー2塁へ立っています。ノーアウトランナー2塁3塁と変わりました。いや、広岡さん、持丸監督が立ち上がりから積極的に動いてきていますが、いや、本当に
股债利差是5.68%，和去年4月股债利差水平接近。也就是说，对比当前的股市和债市，现在投资股市的机会更可能是大于风险的。不过在这里我也要做一个提醒，虽然从当下股权风险溢价的水平来看，对比债市股市的机会或许不错，但是也不意味着市场行情的反转马上就会到来。一般来说，顶部和底部是一个较长的时间段，即使股权风险溢价情况显示权益类产品便宜的信号出现了，但这个行情也未必会立刻反转。我们还是要更多的结合货币环境、经济前景来分析，不能过于简单的就把某一个单一的指标当作抄底的依据。另外呢，虽然当前股票的性价比高于债市，但是具体增配权益基金还是债券基金，还是要根据投资者自己的风险偏好来决定的。风险偏好较高的、能承受较大回撤的投资者，对于某些估值已经较为合理的行业基金可以适当的加仓；而对于那些风险偏好相对较低的投资者，在市场底部区域弱势震荡的格局当中，重要仓位布置在中长期纯债品种上，则更加的合适。收益情况上看，中长期纯债基金近10年最大的回撤仅有3.3%。但是平均年化收益却可以达到5.1%，相比短期纯债，
并确定第3轮总理选举投票的日期，预计为8月18号至22号之间的一天。
小菅監督が話していましたが、広岡さん、この小菅監督の継投、このタイミングどうご覧になりますか。 の監督の立場としてもまさかというところが正直なところだと思いますけれども、ただやはり今日のゲームがね、お互いの監督さんからするとやっぱり僅差、3点ぐらいの勝負という頭がありますから、これ2点取られましたもんね、これ以上点はやれない、そういったところで早めの仕掛けでピッチャーを変えましたね。ですね。173センチ、伊藤彩斗、これまで1回戦、2回戦ともにリリーフでマウンドに立ちました。トータル3回と3分の1、打たれたヒット3本、奪った三振6つ、四死球1つ。非常にテンポよく、非常に
一件三角形的还是麻烦的啦，而且会当算是荷兰中国最名有民主，这大陆我觉得最名好的一关，这从来不是为了称王称霸，而是设止和战争。中国坚定维护国际核不扩散秩序，反对将地缘政治利益凌驾于核不扩散之上。中国积极推动和平利用核能
与持续强降雨引发洪涝和次生地质灾害，造成人员伤亡和财产损失。国家发展改革委昨天增加安排中央预算内投资5亿元，支持河北、北京、黑龙江、吉林、福建、重庆6省市受灾严重地区基础设施和基本公共服务设施应急恢复重建，加上前2批已经安排的2亿元，国家发展改革委今年已累计安排7亿元，专项用于受灾严重地区灾后应急恢复重建。
7月29号到8月2号，北京市房山区经历特大暴雨灾害天气，防水夹杂淤泥影响房山多个地区。经过连续作业，截至昨天，房山区已基本完成主要道路的清淤。具体情况，我们来连线总台记者张景。张景来给我们介绍一下目前房山区清淤工作的进展情况。
直通運転は取りやめるということです。JR 東海によりますと、今後も雨の状況によって運転を見合わせる可能性もあることから、利用客に対してできる限り計画の変更などを検討するよう呼びかけています。ニュースをお伝えしました。
大会10日目の第4試合は、今の仙台松戸が1回の裏に3点を勝ち、それから茨城の土浦日大の攻撃、1回の裏の攻撃が今始まったところです。1番の中本が今2球目を打ってピッチャー正面のワンバウンドで青野がそのボールを打ってアンダーハンドと一塁を送りました。一塁アウトです。ワンアウト、ランナーはありません。マウンド上176センチ、右のライトハンド、青野がこの夏は初先発ということになります。これまでは依然唯一の登板でした。2番の立川が右バッター。
仍然有很多人仍然是驻扎在相关的沿线来帮助进一步的进行清淤，因为这些老百姓把自家的淤泥清出来之后呢，他还是要倒在这个马路边上，然后通过我们这个部队啊，包括政产和经理的工作人员进一步的给大家统筹给清理。那么房山区城市管理委员会呢，也给我们公布了一组数据啊，就是经过他们的对接协调，现在是已经有上10家的市属国企呢采取包片的形式，所以现在房山区的这个援助战斗，很多的支援力量也已经过来了，包括这个市属国企的支援力量，包括我们昨天还看到像山东来的一些支援部门，累计的话应该这些支援者应该是超过了3600元，然后包括带来了1000多台的车辆，预计在8月20号以前就能够完成剩下的这些清淤工作。
In contemporary English.
Bringing you the music of our time with the Bell on the New Life Station.
We got open and we could probably put something too long. We got open on some District Development Authority, along bringing this water and sanitation program. We went for long 6 LLGs long the district. Now only the whole on-road long place inside long district, and we putting down money on time support long the day, only operating all on-road long district long time and maybe work just up. So only have this sorry too long. Make mistake people to all people long. Vivek district.
And Finian is Mary Blanc NBC long East City, Fort Minor, even story one time there was rain.
chief belong Doggery Police Service, any making big appeal go long all chiefs, community na elected leader long only must strong more work belong keeping peace or community belong all. Deputy Police Commissioner Francis Tokora, any especially making this passing out, he go along community, long Kiwai, long South Bougainville, where one line even cooking more house behind long or top.